Hello and welcome to 3-Minute Reviews, where I review something in 3 minutes or less. Today I'm going to be doing another special 3-minute review, a 9-minute review, of the prequel Star Wars trilogy. This is going to be a more unique interview because I'm a person who was born into the prequels, and I actually saw the prequels before I saw the originals. But I honestly don't have a much different opinion than all of the people to whom I have spoken who were alive in 1977 and saw the original trilogy and then the prequel trilogy. I think the prequel trilogy is just bad. With the exception of maybe Revenge of the Sith, the first two are definitely two of the worst movies in general that I've seen. Phantom Menace, there's just nothing I can say. It's my least favorite of the Star Wars movies and one of my least favorite movies in general. There were quite a few things in there that it almost seemed like George Lucas was trying to do fan service. And that's not a bad thing. Fan service is always good, especially when you're revisiting a franchise, you're rebooting it after almost 20 years. That's a very, very smart way to do things. But the fan service is weird. I mean, Darth Vader built C-3PO. Okay. And then they show some things that are actually a bit interesting, such as Jabba having supposedly legitimate affairs with the pod races and things like that. There are some things that's kind of cool to go back and forth, but for the most part, it's just it makes you appreciate the original trilogy. It's weird. It makes you appreciate it that much more for not being the prequel trilogy, but it also kind of cheapens the experience of the original trilogy, in my opinion, because it takes it and distorts it so much to know that all of this happened before that. And what I really dislike about the Phantom Menace is that the two characters that I could remotely stand. Now, I mean, I can stand Obi-Wan in the Phantom Menace, but Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul, the two characters who actually had good actors behind them. Well, not really. Darth Maul didn't have an amazing actor behind him, but he didn't really need to. The two characters that I was actually interested in seeing more of, they killed. So, and obviously it worked with the original trilogy to have the one Sith Master and the one Sith Apprentice. Obviously you would have to kill that one Sith Apprentice for the whole Darth Vader thing to work out in Episode 3, but there was no reason to take Darth Maul, kill him, and then in Episode 2 just come back with Darth Tyrannus or Count Dooku, however you want to name him. Which brings us to Episode 2. Episode 2, again, does a lot of that fan servicey kind of stuff, the whole Jango Fett thing, having Boba Fett as a kid, showing that he's a manufactured warrior, stuff like that, showing C-3PO's rise to becoming gold. I mean, I thought that was kind of a stupid thing to do. And probably the worst thing about Episode 2 is honestly Hayden Christensen. It's like George Lucas was just kind of trying to take advantage of that whole angsty teenager phase that everybody seemed to be going through, I guess. Really, it's been more prevalent a little bit more recently, but you know what I mean. He was trying to exploit that whole angsty teenager kind of thing that for some reason has delved into our pop culture so flawlessly, but I'll discuss that at a later time. Really, there aren't any more. I mean, Attack of the Clones, for as bad, as horrible as a movie as this is, it is a masterpiece compared to Phantom Menace. I mean, I could go on about Phantom Menace for 20 minutes and just barely scratch the surface. I could go on about Phantom Menace longer than it would take you to watch the movie. So, I mean, there's just... I don't know. Anyway, back on Attack of the Clones, there were some cool things about it. I will try to show you the positive. For one thing, Yoda is in CG, which people who know me know that I'm not a huge fan of CG. I would have preferred him to be a puppet, but it's nice that they... I don't know, I'm on the fence. As CG, we were able to see Yoda actually in his prime, which is something that I'm sure people who were fans of the original were interested in, and something that I myself thought was very cool after the fact. And so him fighting with Count Dooku there on I'm not going to even try to remember the name because I know that I'll mutilate it. It's Geno something. It was a cool scene. I will give them that. As much as I would like for it to be a lot less CG, it's nice that they didn't try to play you for a fool and go between a puppet and CG. And if I had to choose between the two, I would say CG and fight over puppet and no fight. Okay, on to Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is an average movie. An average movie on its own. As a Star Wars movie, it's still a bad Star Wars movie, but it's more comparable to Return of the Jedi. Now, I know we're not supposed to compare the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy as something that might just actually be similar in some way, but Revenge of the Sith is as good as Return of the Jedi. And they're both bad Star Wars movies, but they're average movies. What I liked about Revenge of the Sith was obviously it completes the circle, but they really did show more actual parallels that one may find interesting, over it being more where in Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones they were like, ooh, here's C-3PO right here. Ooh, we're introducing R2-D2 for the first time on a Naboo starfighter. Ooh, blah 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 blah. Instead, it was an actual parallel that you might be interested in. For example, I like that all of the starships throughout the series go from the Naboo fighters that you see to gradually working into the Jedi starfighters that you see here. They're highly reminiscent of, say, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, and then the TIE Fighters in the original trilogy. I thought that was great. And then, of course, Hayden Christensen being in the suit. I have thoughts on that basically whoever is in the suit, as much as I would like for it to be David Prowse, it wouldn't look right because David Prowse is a lot bulkier than Hayden Christensen is. So that's why I'm going to leave that at. Basically, Revenge of the Sith is a good movie. Pick it up, see if you like it. The rest of them are take it or leave it. For completeness sake, I would say watch them just to laugh, but whatever.